Alright, so this will be a video showing you step by step how I basically start every project by grabbing as much free site context and topography as possible and bringing it into Revit, making it repeatable and making it look good. So Revit 2024 end up you have a new tool to create topography called Toposolids, and in this video I'll show you how that works as well. And I'll start by opening a new project in Revit with no template or anything, so you can do this yourself all at home. This is what we're going to end up with sort of at the end, something that we can rotate around and we can clearly see the topographical lines and how the roads kind of match and go around with that. So I'm going to close this and start new. So start fresh. So we're going to do new Imperial project. There we go. It's going to open up a floor plan, and I would rather do this in 3D. So I'm going to close the floor plan. I'm going to turn off all of my annotation and visibility graphics. Just turn all of this off. I don't want any of it. Start with a blank document there. So next, we'll go to my main source for free CAD site topo in context, pretty much anywhere on Earth. CAD Mapper. So CAD Mapper isn't the only source for this. There are others coming out and that are just as good, and if not better, and I'll be exploring those in future videos. But for now, I'll stick with CAD Mapper. Once we go here, you can just go to cadmapper.com, just like up here. Click Try It Now. I think you can just jump right in like this and zoom in, or search the address if you know it. You may have to log in or create an account first, but I've basically got my location here already that I've zoomed into. And if I clear selection, this is what you'll start with. I'm going to say my theoretical site is this guy, which I want centered on here. So I'll always grab not just how much I think I need, but I'll grab as much as I possibly can for free. And you can see a free file up to a certain size, then it makes you pay. So I'm going to just grab kind of as perfect of a square as I can, as much free content as I can. Then if I select this until the corner dots show up, I'm going to just try to center my site in there just like that. So over here on the left, settings, you want AutoCAD checked, topography and contours checked. You want to make sure this stuff is checked, and turn this to 4. I like to keep it. The 4 is the minimum that they'll let you do. You can't go any more dense than that. And for road geometry, I stick with mesh surfaces, and I keep all of these settings the same. And I like to turn the 3D buildings on and have the 3D building data set to 3 meters. You can change that if you want to play around with it. But from there, you just go create file. Pretty simple. It'll give you a preview here, and it'll allow you to download. So I've already downloaded this, but importantly, once you do download this, if I go to my downloads, you'll see it's a zipped file. You'll have to go into this zipped file until you have this and drag it out of here into whichever folder you wanna bring it into. So I've got mine. I've got my Revit file. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new site family. I'm not going to import any of this directly in for now, and I'll show you why later. So if you go to architecture, file, I'm going to go to new family. Let's go down here and go to site. Click open. And we'll be looking at a floor plan of whatever site. This is where we're going to insert and import this CAD that we just downloaded. So I've got this one in Truckee, California. Settings down here, I found that meters, imported units has to be meters. You can't choose anything but meters, otherwise it will not show up at the right scale. Don't worry about preserved colors, doesn't matter, all that's fine. I like to go auto center to center, and that looks good. I'm going to uncheck oriented view just because I would rather just place it according to here. And let this load up for a minute. And then once this is loaded in, I'm going to go to, here we go. I'm going to go to my 3D view. Just click this guy up here. And you can see that's kind of what it looks like for now. So, the next thing that we're going to do once we have this imported is we want to delete layers that we don't want to show up graphically. So if I click this I'm going to go up here to delete layers. The 2 layers we're going to delete. We're going to delete contours and topography. And just click OK. Boom. And there we go. So from there, we're just going to load this straight into our project. And zoom out. Good. So now we have kind of our context. We have context that slopes. We need to next create our topographical surface in Revit. Now the way that we do that is we need to import the CAD mapper file directly into here. Now I know you're gonna say that you're supposed to link CAD, but it's not gonna work if you link the CAD. And also massing in site, this is how you do Toposolids. So you go massing in site up here, Toposolid, and you need to go down here, create from import. And then before you can do anything, you have to then also, again, click create from CAD. And you're going to see right now it says there are no imported elements. This is in a family, not in our environment. So what we need to do is insert, and like I said, don't link the CAD because it won't recognize it as something you can build a surface from. So when you go to import CAD, grab the same one, again, meters. This time I'm going to go just manual origin, and hopefully it'll let us just place it over to the side. Yeah, just like that. Okay, so now is when we want to go to massing in site. Click on Toposolid and create from import. And then once again, create from CAD. Before we can select anything, we have to click this, and then it'll actually let us select this, and it wants us to select which layer to use. So we're going to use this contours layer, not the topography layer, but the contours layer, because it needs line work, and that's line work in there. So I'm going to click OK, and it builds based off of that. And then the only thing you have to do is move this into place using an origin to origin. So I'm going to use the corner of this building, move it in there, and then we can just delete what's left over. So we're left with this, which, you know, it doesn't look great. And one thing that we're going to do is you'll notice sometimes you'll get these jaggedy edges in here. I do a really easy fix to that, which is just select edit sketch, and I just straighten these out manually. Chances are it doesn't, you know, the topography is an approximation anyway. Chances are it's not going to mess you up too bad. So there you have it. There we have all of our content in Revit that we need. The next step of the process is we want to make it look good. So a few steps to that. The first thing we want here is we want to start seeing colors. So we need to go over to our graphic display options over here and select consistent colors. There we go. And so what that's going to do is any material that has a color, it's just going to show up as a flat color. We have all kinds of, we can control precisely what color things are. There's no shading. You do have some shadows you can apply, but there's no shading. So the colors are all just solid, and it allows for really easy manipulation of the graphics. So next thing is if we zoom in here, you'll see some of the street sort of punches through the topographical surface. So a quick way to fix that, since we're just doing things quickly in the early round here to try to set things up, I'm going to bump this up by 12 feet. So over in properties, offset from host, I'm going to change this to 12 feet. And that'll bump things up so we can kind of see all of the streets now. And that's a good quick place to start. So the next thing is, you know, we may not like the color of this topography. I'm going to go into edit type for the Toposolid, and under structure, edit, and then this is a grass layer up here. What I'm going to do is, because I want to control this better, I always like to use render appearance in the graphics. So I have to check that. I'm going to go over here and just remove this image because I want a solid greenish color. I think we're going to go with something like that. We have a solid color. You know, maybe hit or miss on if it's the right color or not. But the next thing is our topographical lines here are way too dense. So how we can edit that is we can go to edit type, under graphics, contour display, click edit. I like to add an extra 0 in here. Just if you have a really varying, highly, steep site, then you don't want your topographical line to just randomly stop below 100 feet. So, and then the intervals, right now it's 1 and 5, and because this is such a large site with a lot of variation, instead, for the primary contours, I only want those every 20 feet, and I want the second contours every 5 feet. If I click OK, now that looks much better. That's way better. So next thing we want to do is, I like to see a primary contour as a thicker line. So instead of from now on, from this point forward, instead of modifying the graphics to this view only, which would be under properties, visibility, graphics, I just want to modify these. I want to modify the graphics project wide all throughout Revit. And the way to do that is to go up to manage and go to object styles up here. Rather than view specific, this is project specific graphic styles for our objects. So what I'm going to do is scroll down to Toposolid and primary contours. I'm going to change the projection of this line to 13. Object styles, primary line weight to 13. Click OK. You won't see much of a change in here. That's because the view scale. So as I change line weights of things, when you change the view scale, you'll start to see that affects the line weight in this specific view. So now we have a little bit of a thicker line, maybe a little bit too thick. So that looks good. Next, we want to start changing because this road mesh looks really crappy. We've got this triangulation situation going on. Not ideal. So again, rather than changing this in this view only, we want to change it project wide. So we go to object styles, and to find this, we go to imported objects, and you'll see in here imports and families. And this is key. So any site that we import into any CAD mapper DWG that we import in, we'll share these same layers, and when we make the changes here, they'll make the changes to every single site that you bring in to this Revit project from here on out. So that's why I like to use the site family instead of importing directly in here. If you import directly in here, and I had 3 different projects, you'd have 3 different sets of layers to set graphics to. So I like everything to be imported into the site family. That way I can control all of it through here. First thing we'll do is the roads. So highways through minor roads. I want to change the way to make the triangulation go away is to make the material color of the road and the line of the road the same exact color, so you don't see a distinction between the two. So if I highlight all 3 of these and go to here, we're going to see the road color. I think I want it to be right at 160, and then I'll go over to here, and it'll also be changing. I need to create a new material, duplicate this white material. That's kind of a default. The material and assets, change the name to road, and then under here, under graphics, use rendered appearance, and go to appearance and set this to the same 160. So each one of those little steps is crucial to get this right. But then once you hit OK, boom, you'll see you have a nice color, a nice flat color when I zoom in to your road. Unless you highlight it, it's going to print this nice flat color. Also looks like I kind of would like this green to be a little bit brighter. And the great thing is, once you do this once, you get kind of the graphic settings that you like. You do it one time, and all of your other projects that come through here should give you the same graphic results here. So we have the roads. I want to soften up the buildings a little bit. I can go to object styles, again imported, go to buildings, and you can just change the color here down to, like, I don't know, 129. You'll see the buildings like soften up a little bit, because maybe you want the line work of your designs to be a dark line and not the context building. So usually it looks pretty good. The next is you can do water and railings, which are layers in here, imported. So let's start with water. I'm going to change the water to 15. I think is a good. Make it really wide. Make it a nice solid blue, maybe a brighter blue. Okay, and you'll see we have these creeks show up. And great thing is you import a new site from CAD Mapper, it applies these graphics automatically to it. The next one is we have this railway. That's going to be like a 13 and like a bright red, I think. And then we have these paths. We need to do something about that. I'm going to just choose, I think, something silly. This brown color. Create yet another material. And make it that same exact brown. There we go. So now we have a bunch of these layers looking good in here. There's another layer called parks in here, but we don't have to worry about that for now. So another good way to make this look a little bit better, if you want the roads to be a little bit more defined or stand out a little bit more, go over here to graphics display, and under shadows turn on cast shadows and show ambient shadows. And then under lighting, we just want to, if we hit apply, you'll see we have a really dark shadow. I like to just scale this back to 25 because we really don't need that intense of a shadow. There we go. Yeah, and that kind of just helps create a little bit more depth to your overall site, however much you're grabbing. So, and then for extra fun, we can change these contours to white. Again, if I want to do this project wide, or if I want to do it just in this view, I'll go to Object Styles, under Model Objects, Toposolids, Primary, Secondary Contours. I'll highlight both of them and just lay them. You can make them different colors even if you wanted to, but that gives like a very totally different effect. So there's that. So yeah, so once we've got these graphics set, I want to show what happens if I go into my site family here, edit family, and what if I want to, insert some other site, import CAD. I have this Area 51 site from a previous video I can import here, and I'm just going to bring it over, and I'm going to delete the topography and contours layers and load in. Check this out. All of those settings are already applied to every single new site model that you bring in from CAD Mapper. So that's what's cool about the process that is being used here. So next thing is, what if you want certain elements not to show up? Like if you need to cut, a common one is you need to get rid of some buildings because, in our case, we have our site here, but we have a bunch of these little buildings modeled here. You want to know how to get rid of those. So let's go into Edit Family. And it's a little bit tricky how to do this, but we'll go to our top view. And I'm going to copy this up. Okay. And I'm going to explode this. This is real simple, but it's going to sit here and wait too. But I need to explode this because I need Revit to recognize these, building masses as objects in Revit we can manipulate, not just an import from a CAD file. So now that we've exploded it, you can see Revit now recognizes it, and we're just going to move this into place, origin to origin from this building. Nice. And we can delete everything else in here. We're not using anything else. And we need to go in here into our import, and we need to delete the buildings layer. Okay. Now we're not done. I'll show you what happens when you load this in. Your buildings will turn all this dark color, and your line effects will go away. So what we have to do is we need to create a sub category. If you select these, you can see under identity data it says subcategory none. Well, we need to create a subcategory for these buildings. So the way that you do that is go to you go to manage, and you need to go to object styles. Manage object styles, and you need to go modify subcategories new. I'm going to call this all cap building. Okay, good. And then we just need to assign that subcategory to these buildings. Okay. And if we load into project, now we can control the visibility of these. If I go to manage, again, object styles, imported objects. If I go to object styles and scroll down to site in the model objects, you'll see buildings as a subcategory. Now we can go in and we can assign the material. We just want that white material. I may need to create a new material here. Create a new material and just make it white. I could just select the other one, but I can't find it right there. So then go back in here and change the color of the line to this 129 like it was before, 130, and we're back to the correct graphics there. So finally, how to cut the buildings out of here, how to get rid of the buildings. You need to create a void form. So you go to create void form and void extrusion, and then you just from there you want to just draw a closed loop of lines around the buildings. Doesn't have to be super perfect. Just grab so it loops around all of your buildings. That'll create a void extrude box that you need to, it's kind of flat, so you need to extrude it up so it punches through your actual site. And then you need to go up here under modify, cut, select your buildings, then select the void form, and there you go. Those buildings are gone, and you can load this into your project, and you're ready to go. The last thing is, like in this specific project, I think that the sidewalk kind of doesn't look good graphically. Instead of trying to turn that off in this view, or project wide, try to do something with it. I may bring in another site that the sidewalks or the paths do look good in. So I don't want to turn it off in here. I just want, for this specific site, I just want them gone. I want to delete them. So you go into select this in our site family, delete layers. I'm just going to delete the paths and reload that back in. That's something I have to, typically have to kind of do a lot because I don't like, and then the only thing that's left is we have this park, and we just want this to be like a bright green with, like a 12 line. There we go. So that's the sidewalk gone. That's the final kind of step of how I typically go through things when I'm starting a project. So if you found that useful, starting from scratch in your own Revit environment, then let me know by subscribing and liking the video. You can check out more and support me by selecting the link in the video or any of my other videos. If you found this useful and everything. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.